Today we're going to talk about drawing from appendix. Okay, there's lots of different appendix holsters out there. Very popular way to draw from concealment these days. Everybody likes drawing from appendix. Some guys still draw from the 4 o'clock position. I personally like to draw from appendix. I like carrying concealed from the appendix position. There's all kinds of different holsters out there. Holsters that sit higher, holsters that sit lower. Some holsters sit below your belt line for more discretion. Some of them sit higher so that you have easier access to that gun and you can get an easier draw. You just got to find what you're happy with and what suits you. Okay, so if I'm doing something that's a little more discreet, or if I just need way more discretion, then maybe I'll settle for a holster that is maybe belt level or below the belt. For me personally, I like to use a TRex Arm Sidecar. Okay, so I've messed with some different holsters. There's a lot of good holsters out there, but I like the Sidecar probably the best out of all the appendix carry holsters. I like the way it fits to my body, the way it contours. I like the adjustments on there where I can adjust the height of the gun. Right now the gun is exactly where I need it to be, so I can get a good draw out of this holster without impeding my movement. I like the way the magazine sits. It's not straight up, straight down. It's canted off a little bit to the side, where for me it feels more natural when I'm drawing that magazine out of its holster as well. If you do want to carry appendix and you like having that extra mag holder, something like the Sidecar is a great holster. Okay, so I would encourage you to get one. I think you'll like it. And as you can see, it doesn't print a lot. Okay, so if my posture, I like my posture is like straight up and straight down. I don't like to slouch. As you can see, it's not printing so much. Yeah, there is some, but if for someone that doesn't know about it or someone that's not looking, they're not going to notice it. Okay, obviously people that carry concealed and this and that and they're wearing appendix, yeah, they might notice it a little bit, but for me, I like to compromise on that aspect of it a little bit so that I can have, if I do have to draw, I can get that good draw from this holster with my fingers firmly wrapped around that mag well, and I can come up the way I want to without having to fight my pants or fight my belt to get to it. When we talk about drawing from appendix, it all starts with whatever garment you're wearing. So I'm wearing a t-shirt. This t-shirt gives a little more. Okay, so if I was wearing a collared shirt, maybe I need to undo the last button so I can get a little more opening on that bottom. Maybe I'm wearing a hoodie or a coat or a rain jacket, but whatever it is, we need to practice with that. Okay, so my advice is before you leave the house in the morning with whatever garment you're wearing, you sit there and you dry fire a couple times, practice defeating that garment so that you can see how it feels in case you have to do it. Okay, so let's talk about actually drawing from appendix. When we draw from appendix, we want to basically grab our garment and defeat it from somewhere that I can defeat enough of this material so that I have a clear path to this gun. Okay, so whether that's from a hoodie, from a jacket, from this t-shirt, from a collar shirt, we need to know how much of this shirt or where do I have to grab this shirt in order to defeat enough of that material so that my shooting hand can go directly to this weapon without this garment getting in the way. So when this hand defeats the garment, when the non-shooting hand defeats the garment, it's going to stay up here and be served as a reference point. Now when my shooting hand goes for the weapon, I'm getting that good grip, but notice that my trigger finger is still straight and off the trigger, obviously because the trigger is still guarded by the holster. But as I'm drawing to come up and marry up with my non-shooting hand, my trigger finger is still going to be straight and off the trigger until I get to a point where I can actually take shots if I needed to. So from right here, I can take shots, okay, if I needed to. But from right here, where your non-shooting hand was a reference point, this is where they marry up and they present out together. From here, my finger can go into the trigger well, and I can take shots if I have to. But if I don't, I'm taking that slack out of the trigger. I'm acquiring my side alignment side picture, and I'm presenting out, maintaining that as much as I can until I get to a point where I can actually take a shot. Okay. So when I'm done shooting, my finger comes off that trigger well. I come back, and I'm doing everything in reverse at this point. So now my non-shooting hand is going to defeat that garment once again, and I'm going to look that gun back into the holster. I'm not just going to not look it. I'm going to look it go back into the holster, keeping my trigger finger straight and off the trigger at that point. If we do this, we mitigate accidents. We mitigate shooting yourself on the draw or shooting yourself back on the holster. Okay, so it's very important that we practice this. That's why dry fires are very important, so that we can get familiar with where our fingers are at all times. from this process, or excuse me, from this step here all the way to this step here and coming back, we know where our fingers are going to go, and we know when to put our finger in the trigger well and when not to put or when to take it out. Okay, so this is where that dry fire comes in very handy, 5 to 10 minutes every night. So there's two instances where we have to draw off an appendix holster. There's reactive and proactive. Proactive means that we know something weird is going down, and maybe we are kind of getting ready to defeat that garment. So we can casually maybe get our fingers in a place where I can maybe actually hook this garment a little bit from the bottom, because I know that, hey, there's something going down and I may need to draw my gun. Or we have reactive, where it's kind of taking us by surprise, so that now we got to defeat that garment as fast as we can and get to that gun as fast as we can, get that gun out. So reactive and proactive, we practice both just to see how they feel. Okay, we also practice doing from the low ready or from like a high surrender position, where you're in a confrontation where it may get ugly, or you may have to draw that weapon, so your hands are up in that high surrender position. Okay. From that high surrender position, all we're doing at this point is grabbing that garment where we know we can defeat it enough where it's going to clear that gun. Okay, so we don't have to necessarily come all the way down here to defeat it. We don't even have to come down here to hook it. We can just grab it from somewhere, crunch it, and then clear that garment. Okay, defeating it. From the low ready, it's a little different. We can hook it. Okay, sometimes with that hook we miss, but try it out. Try both out and see what works for you. Okay, and how both of those feel, so that you're comfortable with both. If I'm in a surrender position, my hands are probably up here somewhere, right? So if I'm starting from here, at this point, it's just a matter of these motions right here, where this hand comes in to defeat that garment, this hand comes in to grab that gun. They marry up here together, we present out. Okay, as you notice though, if you look at my shoulders, I'm not doing a lot of dipping, so I'm not like doing this. Okay, I'm not swaying my body back and forth. My shoulders are level. It's just a matter of manipulating the joints in my elbow to getting my garment defeated with one hand, getting my gun out with the other, coming out, presenting together. Okay, taking that shot, coming back in, looking the gun back in the holster, and that's it. My shoulders are level. All this excessive movement that slows us down, plus it creates more moving parts that create error. Okay, during these steps. So when you're practicing this, try to isolate your shoulders and just isolate your joints at the elbow so that you can get that good defeat. Also depends on what kind of garment it is. Okay, so if it's a jacket, you may have to reach down a little lower, so you are dipping your shoulders. So again, it's good to practice with different garments. Let's talk about two-hand draw versus one-hand draw. So with the with the two-hand draw, we have the luxury of both hands. One can defeat the garment while the other one goes for the gun. With the one-handed draw, maybe we are holding on to a small child, bag of groceries, maybe our loved one, maybe whoever or whatever we have. For some reason, we can't. This hand, our non-shooting hand, is out of the equation. Okay, it's out of service for now. So we got to go to that one-handed draw. When we go to a one-handed draw, we are basically doing two things at once. We're going to defeat that garment and get that gun out at the same time. Now, if you notice that when I defeated my garment, as soon as I defeated that garment, I trapped it with my wrist. I trapped it, and then now that it's trapped, I can go for my gun. Okay, and trapping that garment will mitigate that garment falling back over your hand when you're trying to draw. So when you draw, you come up and you hook it, something like that. When we defeat that garment with one hand, we're gonna defeat the garment, trap it into our wrist, go for that gun, and then we come out same way. Drawing from appendix is something we can do at home. Okay, we can dry fire practice 5-10 minutes a night, and this is something we don't need to do on the range. We don't need live rounds to do this. Those live rounds make no difference when it comes to the form of drawing from appendix. Okay, so if I'm at home, if you don't have a pro timer or a pack timer, there's a dry fire app that you can get from your iTunes, and just set like a 3-second part time. Okay, so if I do a 3-second part time, I'm going to utilize that entire 3 seconds so that I can get the form down. If I don't have the form down, there's no need trying to go faster. That's why I start at 3 seconds. So when I feel more comfortable, if I do maybe 5 reps of that, or 10 reps, or however many you feel like doing, you can go down to 2.5 seconds. Okay, do a few reps there, go down to 2 seconds, and see where you're at. Okay, and you can eventually go down in smaller increments. So if you're used to going at 1 second and you're getting it out and everything feels good, then go to 0.9, 0.8, okay? But at 3 seconds, it's a good way to warm up. So I have this pro timer set at 3 seconds. Let's just see if I can utilize that entire 3 seconds from the beep to the time I pull that trigger, okay? Okay, so if I had to guess, I was probably at about 2.8 on that one, okay? When you notice how slow I went, I didn't go any faster than I have to. I just sat at that 3 second mark as much as I could, and I did everything the right way, okay? Let's do it again. Okay, so probably right there in that 2.8, maybe 2.7 on that one. Okay, so I don't really need to, when it comes to like the tenths of a seconds, I'm not going to slow down anymore to get right on the 3 second mark. But the important thing here is that I'm comfortable with that speed and I'm doing everything correctly. Okay, okay, let's try 2.5 seconds. Okay, so I was probably right there at 2.3, 2.4. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, probably about 2.2, 2.3. Okay, so a little faster than I wanted to. That's all right. It's coming down to those tenths of a second, and I feel good with my speed. Okay, so with anything, I like to preach that go fast where you can, slow down where you have to. So when it comes to the garment defeat, I'm going fast, but when it comes to the draw and actually presenting out, I'm slowing down. I'm taking my time. Okay, I'm taking my time so that I can acquire that side picture, side alignment, and I get that good trigger pull from here, pulling that slack out all the way to here where I'm sitting on that wall and I break it, okay? Now, when it comes to, when you're going for speed, obviously, you got to give up some stuff, okay? You're not going to get that traditional side picture. You're not going to come up as high as you want to get that good, to marry up with your non-shooting hand and get that good presentation, okay? You're going to obviously go, you're going to come out a little more. So instead of going up and out, you're going to go up and maybe curve out. So when it comes to speed, you got to give up some of that stuff. But that's why we're not going to introduce speed too early, because if I'm doing speed too early or from the get-go, so instead of coming up and out, I'm doing this, right? So now I'm almost bowling from the time I'm grabbing that gun from the holster, drawing and presenting out. I'm always cutting that. I'm cheating basically, as I'm going from A to B rather from A, B to C, and that's what we don't want. And that's where your bad form comes from. Okay, let's try 2 seconds. Okay, so I was right there about 1.9, I think, on that one. Let's try again. Okay, a little fast. And I flashed you guys with my flashlight, I apologize. But I was a little fast on that one. I was probably at probably 1.7 or something like that. Okay, so I'll slow it down. Slow it down. Okay, so I was probably right there at 2 seconds that time. Okay, let's try 1.5. Okay, probably right at 1.4 for that one. Let's try again. Okay, probably right at 1.4, or probably right at 1.5. So from 1.5, I would recommend that you go down in tenths of a second increments. So go to 1.4, 1.3, 1.2, 1.1, and work your way down till you get to a place where you're like, you know, this is obviously I'm not ready for 1.1, or maybe I'm not ready for 1.2, okay? For some more advanced guys, maybe you're not ready for 0.9, or maybe you're not ready for 0.8. So there's no need trying to go that fast if you're not making it, or if you're compromising a lot of your form to get to that, okay? There's no point in doing it fast, just trying to get that trigger pull if your form looks like crap, Okay, so this is where dry fire practice at home, 5 to 10 minutes at night, comes in really handy. And we start at that 3-second mark and work our way down, maybe half seconds, quarter seconds, tenths of a second, till we get to a place where we're comfortable. By the time you're done, you have a good 50, 60 reps in. So the next time you do it, you feel better, and over time, you're actually going to speed up. So when I first started doing this, I was at, I believe, 1.2 was the fastest I could go, and I actually felt good with my form. Okay, and I couldn't go any faster. If I went any faster, my form looked like crap, and I started throwing shots left and right and low and everywhere. Okay, but over time, I was able to get down where my fastest now is a 0.54. But for me to get to a 0.54, I have already dry fire practiced and probably done a couple thousand reps. Okay, so, and how does my form look at a 0.54? Well, I posted a video on Instagram a while back. It's so fast that you can't even tell, like, his form looks like crap or his form looks good. You have to slow the video down. So, but for me, doing that 0.54 and the low fives and some low sixes, it felt good because I put all those reps in. I put all that hard work in, and I can get to that. Okay, and you guys can too over time if you start at a comfortable place and you put those reps in, you put that hard work in, and you will lower your times before you know it. So as always, thank you for watching. If you guys have any questions, you can put them in the comments down below, or you can DM me on Instagram, and I'll be happy to answer your questions and help you guys out. Okay, have a good one.